tech for good, tech for good, this, tech for good for that. That was the big subject, and it was always fairly abstract. So our good friends at BNP decided, let's do a session about what companies and people can actually do to do something worthwhile. Could we bring on the team, please? We've got a really great, diverse group that is going to, and I mean diverse like not just men and women, but all kinds of people. And they're going to be led by my good friend Nicolas Barré from Les Echos, and I will let him do it from here. Okay?
Thank you. Please have a seat. I'm really delighted to be moderating this next session, which starts with a question. Can the private sector help make society more equitable and sustainable? And I would confess that I think the answer is yes. And not only the answer is yes, but I think we're going to prove it with the panelists that we have here today. And I can present you all of them. Everybody knows Bertrand. We're very proud to have you here. Julie and Frédéric are coming from the startup world, and they will tell you a lot of things, very interesting things about what they're doing, and it's really fascinating. And then we have representatives of BNP Paribas, and I would like to start with you, Antoine, if you can maybe tell us what's your view on this issue, please. Antoine.
Yes, good morning. We are now living a great moment of transformation. A new positive economy is emerging, and at BNP Paribas we really want to be part of it from the beginning. People are worried about the climate. People are worried about inequalities. They are worried about the territories, and at the same time there are a lot of positive solutions emerging, and it's really time for this new positive economy. This led our CEO, Jean-Laurent Bonnafé, to create a company engagement department, which has the mission to push positive business and positive impact actions in all departments of the company. And we decided to make the 17 SDGs of the United Nations a part of our corporate platform. Because we believe now that CSR issues are not only are really at the center of our business model and certainly of the business model of our clients. We are clearly in a good position to do that because we are an universal bank. So we are working with individuals, we are working with large corporates, we are working with institutionals. And what is absolutely incredible in this new positive economy is that everybody is working with everybody in a new manner. You can see very small startups which are working with large institutions. For example, at BNP Paribas, we signed agreements which are united, which are with the United Nations and with very small startups. It's really something we couldn't imagine a few years ago, and it's a fantastic transformation for us. So maybe 3 remarks on this new positive economy. First of all, it is a co-construction economy. I just give an example. In Indonesia, we are part of an agreement with the Indonesian government, United Nations, the WWF, and Michelin. And what are we doing all together? We are bringing money of large investors to finance a rubber plantation that will provide jobs to 16,000 people, that will restore the biodiversity in an area where it is really at threat, and that will ensure for Michelin procurement of sustainable rubber for a lot of years. So those combinations are absolutely new and they are absolutely game-changing. And one thing I want to mention is that people say very often that there is the money of the billionaires around us and that it doesn't go to the projects which are needed for our future and for our children. In fact, the biggest money belongs to the retired people who have huge amounts of money. The addition of the retired people makes billion and billion of money, and this money is managed by fund manager, and the fund manager now, they realize that they need to manage this money with caution, but that they also need to take into account the future generation. So it's important for us to make sure that the projects are able to attract the money of the large investor, because at the end of the day, it's true that making this positive economy will also need money. But we are ready for it, and making all the money converge to those projects is really something very important. Just two mini remarks. It's very important also that we are sure that those projects are sustainable projects in terms of benefit for the society, but also in terms of being financially able to live and to survive. So that's why, for example, the label which is being done by Bertrand Piccard is something that interests us hugely. And another thing is that in this new way of working, you can very often combine two problems to create a solution. And for example, Fred, which is a partner for us, will explain how we can use two problems to combine a solution. So it's very exciting. It's a real new way of working together. And I'm really happy that the partners who are doing this are here with us this morning.
Thank you very much, Antoine, and it's a clever transition to Fred. Constance will tell us more about what the bank can do in this area in terms of financing, and but maybe Fred, you can. Maybe not all of you are familiar with SIMPLON and what you are doing, and it's quite extraordinary. You've been in the business, so to speak, for I think 5 years, not more than 5 years. And you have already achieved a lot of things. And well, please tell us first what you are doing, and then we'll move on.
Yes, well, Antoine is the best SIMPLON pitcher in the world. So in fact, this is our job, making with two problems a good solution. So the first problem we address is that there are many talented people who are unemployed or underprivileged and have no grip on their destiny. This is the first problem. And the other problem is that the digital transformation is creating a digital skills mismatch. We are lacking developers, we are lacking data scientists, people for cybersecurity, artificial intelligence, and we are starving from new profiles to make this change in digital happen. So we are combining these two problems by creating schools in the territories, in the underprivileged territories of big suburbs, rural areas, overseas, and also in Africa, and also in Middle East, and everywhere where it's needed. We are building free schools that address underprivileged people and that train these kind of people, which are very talented, freely, completely free. This is why it's really difficult, and this is where social innovation happen, make something very important free for the beneficiaries. So we are building schools. We have 40 schools now. We train 1,000.
And so that means how many people do you train every year?
We train in 5 years 3,000 people, and now we train 1,000 people per year, which is a very few
so
people.
It's beginning to be...
But we have 40 schools, and we train refugees with the help of BNP Paribas, and they are very welcomed by employers, inclusive employers like BNP Paribas, who is employing some refugees that we train in their IT department, which is incredible in terms of diversity and HR. And we are also promoting this kind of skills amongst women, because we are lacking developers, but we are lacking also 50% of the humanity. Women can code. This is not a scoop. Everyone knows it. So why is there only 15% of women in the IT technology? This is a shame. There are some countries like India, South Korea, or China, where 1 developer from 2 is a woman. So we are pushing women to seize their opportunity to have new skills and to get the job and get their destiny with liberty and employment, which is the basic need that we have all, have utility and make something good. And the other thing that we are very proud to be partners with BNP Paribas is that SIMPLON is a tech for good. We are turning the technology to make good things. But SIMPLON is just an example. There are hundreds and thousands of tech for good projects, startups like Julie. And we are gathering all this ecosystem, the partners, the financials, the social impact measurement, and the startups in a movement that is called FEST. This is France Eco Social Tech. And we gather with the help of BNP Paribas all this ecosystem to make the visibility among tech is good, tech is not good. There is a very negative impact of technology. We have to assume it. But there is some positive impact. And the objectives of the millennials can be addressed with the help of technology. So there is this, as Antoine say, new economy, which is a positive economy, and we are gathering people to make it happen and to make it scale, because the problem is scaling.
Okay, thank you. So, Julie Dautel, it's a completely different story, but it's also absolutely fascinating. So, can you tell us maybe first what you are doing and what your company, the company that you founded, by the way.
Yes, I'm
you're the CEO now, but can you tell us what you are doing exactly? And then.
So basically, I'm the co-founder of ZEPHYR Solar, and we develop aerial solar platform in order to bring connectivity on isolated areas. The solution, the platform, takes the shape of a solar balloon. So it's a big balloon inflated with helium. It's a balloon tied to the ground, so attached to the ground.
And you have solar panels on the balloon.
You have solar panels on the top of the balloon, very lightweight one, and you can power different embedded features under the balloon. So for example, in the middle of the forest, the balloon can lift a camera, and it can detect, in case of a fire, it can detect the smoke and alert directly the firemen. So,
okay.
If I have to share maybe 3 thoughts with you today, it's first we talk a lot about innovation, and here it's not only about technical innovation, it's also about use and also social innovations first, because with this innovation you can go further and you could be faster on your markets, meet the people directly and have a real impact on your beneficiaries. And that is really important to make impact, to make sense on your activities, because you need to also hire people, recruit your own team. And I think there is more and more young people attracted by work with a sense. So if you make an impact and you have a really nice activities, a business model functioning, etc., the fact is, when you are a social enterprise, you have a very strong vision of the society. You bring that, and you have also strong values. And when you share that with a group of people, you can go really, really far. And the second point is we have now a good ecosystem, a really good ecosystem, big companies, but also fast ecosystems, and also incubators, such make sense. And it helps to structurate startups, company, and everything. And we have also the voice, and it's important to speak about that. And if I have maybe a request, it's to see more and more social enterprise, and also more and more social and impact investors in each stage of development.
Okay, well, thank you very much. Bertrand, did you know this company? Did you know this company?
Yes, of course. Of course, I know this company, and
you work with them?
We have created the World Alliance for Efficient Solutions, and we made a call to all these type of solutions. So, of course, ZEPHYR Solar is part of it.
Okay.
We applied.
So, can you maybe tell us what you are doing to... Antoine talked a little bit about the labels that you are launching, and so what is it about exactly, and what's the purpose of that?
Yes. Good morning to everyone. You know, in this room, we know about the importance of clean technologies, we know about the importance of impact investing, we know how important it is to protect the environment thanks to technology. But the rest of the world is not in this room. And there are so many people who still believe that protecting the environment is expensive. They still believe that we don't have the solutions today. And I want to prove them wrong. So what we have been doing in the last 2 years after the success of the Solar Impulse flight around the world is to introduce a label that certifies which are the solutions that are economically profitable in order to protect the environment. In other words, we want to speak the language of the people that we want to convince. Because it is a complete wishful thinking to come with big ideas, even with compassion and love for humankind and the environment, to key decision makers who are in the world of the industry and the politics, where they have very short-term needs and interests. So we want to speak their language by showing how much jobs can be created, how much profit, how much growth you can obtain if you replace the old polluting systems that we still have today with new modern technologies. So the Solar Impulse Foundation now, with its partners, has started to call for solutions. In these solutions, we are making a process of certification. BNP Paribas is assuring the compliance of the companies who are bringing these solutions. And the goal is, by the end of this year, to have 1,000 solutions that have the label of profitability, that can protect the environment, and we will bring these solutions to heads of state, to big corporations, to big institutions, and show them what we can do already today. This is really important, already today, because if we only speak of what has to be done in the future, nobody will move. So we have to see that today we can already do a lot, and I believe that this is something that is logical and not only ecological. So this label of profitability is something that has never been done until now. And it's important to work with big companies like BNP Paribas, with NG, with Air Liquide, companies that are also in the VivaTech booth, to give this financial credibility. You know, when a bank like BNP Paribas is divesting out of fossil energies that are not conventional in order to refocus their investments on renewables and energy efficiency, this is credible. This is the message that we need to hear. And I believe that this will convince governments and regulators in the parliaments to adopt, finally, much more ambitious environmental targets and energy policies. So this is what we are doing now with the label.
So what you're arguing is that these solutions, or this transition, is profitable and can bring growth.
Absolutely, because
which is not necessarily natural for everyone.
Yes, because if we don't have so much growth today in the developed countries, it's because basically people have what they need, have what they want, but it is polluting because it's inefficient. Most of the technologies that are used today in the energy systems are 130 years old. They have been invented in the beginning of the oil era. Combustion engines, incandescent light bulbs, production, distribution, consumption of energy, heating, cooling systems. This is what creates climate change, pollution, CO2 in the atmosphere. And imagine the growth we can have if we replace these systems with electric mobility, with heat pumps, with LED lamps, with a smart grid, with insulation of buildings, all this, but it's a clean growth. It's not what the ecologists fear. It's not more of everything, because you cannot have an unlimited growth, of course, but you can have a clean growth that will replace the dirty status quo of today.
Okay.
And I think this is something that can bring together the world of the ecology and the world of the industry, instead of having these two worlds fighting against each other.
Mm-hmm. Frédéric, you wanted to add something, I think.
Yeah, I get a question for. Okay, I get a question for Bertrand. No. I'm sorry.
Okay,
I have a question because the digital industry is is generating so much pollution. It's worse than the airplane, etc. The data centers, all these things are very impactful, negative impact. And do you think you can have some renewable energy to make the digital world go less pollution? Do you think it's possible? It can be a challenge for us to have this technology without this impact on environment? It's not virtual, it's really...
You need two things. You need to produce the energy in a clean and renewable way. And today, in half of the world, the renewable energies are cheaper than oil, gas, and coal. This has to be known. This has to be known. Now, the second part is the energy efficiency. The way we waste energy today has to come to an end, because all the systems exist to save at least half of the energy that is produced and consumed. I just give you an example. You speak of data centers. You have three ways to cool down the data center. The most stupid one, which is the one that is used today, is to have air conditioning in these data centers. So you actively produce cold by wasting energy. The other system is to propulse outside air through the data center to bring the hot air outside. This is already 20 or 30 times more efficient in terms of energy. And the third system that is the most clever is to use the heat of these data centers to heat the houses, to heat the factories, and even to recover heat. And this is one of our members, Ecotech Ceram, who is doing that, storing the heat in blocks of ceramic in order to bring it where other people need it. So the data center will not be a source of pollution, it will be a source of energy production.
Great news.
Constance.
Maybe one example to illustrate this, BNP Paribas has been financing a company called Cacao Computing. What they do is they have computers that we put in social housing, and it heats the housing as it produces computing power for the bank. So it's quite fascinating, because here you solve 3 problems with one solutions.
I'd just like to say something. I love your title that comes on the screen. Head of Change Management. because so many people are afraid of changing. You know, for so many people, a change is a crisis. They want to fight against it. They want to keep the status quo. And you work in a bank where you have a change management in order to give hope that the change is going to help us to be better. Just this is a message that we all have to remember.
I mean, I would ask, how do people look at you inside the company? Because given what Bertrand has just said, head of change management, effectively, it can be scary sometimes to.
I wouldn't use scary. I think it's great because, as you rightly pointed out, the goal is to put people into movement, give them hope, and allow them, what I love what you say, Bertrand, is allow them to marry purpose with profit. And I think when you are able to marry purpose with profit, it brings a whole new energy in the bank. Today we have 500 motivated bankers globally who actively work to bring sustainability solutions to clients and to communities. And it changes entirely the energy and the way that people work together, because everyone works with one goal in mind, and a goal that makes sense for us and for our company and for our clients.
But Constance, would you say that the financial industry as a whole understands this new economy, or is it still a struggle because it's not what you used to finance, and so you need to put in place new metrics. You need to change your rationale, the way you analyze the profitability of a project, for instance. So, how does it match with the traditional financial industry?
Well, the first thing which is important to understand is, I think since COP21, everyone in our industry is aligned. Investors, governments, companies, and consumers. And you have to understand that investors were actually very forward-thinking in sustainability. Every day, a new investor makes an announcement on sustainability targets, like allocating a percentage of their portfolio to renewable energy or to gender diversity. BlackRock, the largest asset manager in the world, said that they will no longer invest in companies if they are not able to prove a tangible ESG performance alongside economic performance. So it's a very strong trend. On the corporate side, companies and our corporate clients are grappling with changes in consumer expectations. I mean, I'm sure all of you in this room now want sustainably sourced goods, like this pair of sneakers. Your kids might have been developing allergies and you want to switch to clean air filters or electric cars. And companies have to keep pace with those changes. They have to keep pace by changing their products, by changing their supply chain, by sometimes even changing their entire business models. So what we do in this case is that we're here to channel purposeful financial resources into positive impact, innovation, and businesses. And it changes the mindset. And I'm not sure today we have to make a choice between profit and purpose. Today, through this, we are able to reconcile everything. So what we do concretely, it's first, we partner with and we finance startups to accelerate innovation for positive impact. That is a must, it's very important. The second thing is we develop cutting-edge financing solutions to facilitate the transition to a new business model for many companies.
So, for example, what does it mean? This you said cutting-edge financial solutions. What does it exactly mean?
So there's probably two examples I can give you to make it more concrete. Green bonds. We're a leader in green bonds. Green bonds have been growing to the tune of $325 billion of issuance in barely 5 years. So it's a huge market. And they're very fascinating because they bring real concrete story of climate solutions. And they appeal to financial markets in a totally new way. Take Anglian Water, the large UK water utility. They issued a green bond to help them better manage water waste, help them be more energy efficient, and help them better educate local communities on water conservation. But what we believe at BNP Paribas is that most of the sustainable finance solutions are yet to be invented. So what we've been doing is partnering with a lot of clients to structure new type of financing modes. And namely in Europe, we've been structuring many sustainable loans. I love this example because how sustainable loans work is the loan pricing is linked to the environmental and social performance of a company. So if a company overperforms its ESG targets, we give them a discount. So now can you imagine that what we do is we accept to give a discount, so to lose a little bit of money, to make our client succeed on sustainability. So you can really imagine how serious we are to really partner up with our clients on this front. What we do also, which is to illustrate the point on innovation in sustainable finance, one of our priority is to make sure that we can provide responsible investments to people. I'm sure many of you in this room want to be able to positively influence your future with your savings. Well, basically, we were the first bank to partner with the World Bank on investment solutions that support the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals program. What's great about those solutions is they offer a better return than their reference index, which is a proof that today you can have investments that are sustainable, responsible, and profitable.
If we go beyond that, would you say that what we are seeing, and I would ask the questions to all of you, is a more profound change in the way the economic system works? Is it like a kind of not new capitalism maybe, but at least a really profound change in the way the society and the economic system works? Is it what we're seeing?
I would say it's a very deep transformation, and it's the challenge, it's what it's exciting, and it's also what is the problem. Because this is a change where a lot of elements of the change are being created by walking. The technologies are creating by walking, because part of the technologies that we will use in 10 years, we don't know already. But also the metrics, the KPIs, the way to assess what is a good project, the way to value, to have a new way to value the success of the companies and the success of economy. We have to create it. So we have to tell all our people that they are working for a new horizons, but a lot of elements that allow to define the horizon are not completely established. So this is the real challenge, and this is why we need to work with the social business and with smaller organizations, because those organizations are used to work and to go forward without having the full picture on the horizon.
Yes, sorry.
Well, just to say that they are very modest because they are helping some startups like us or like Julie, but they are helping people who are helping people like us, because there are two strong engagement of BNP Paribas. It's for the Ashoka Network, which is a beautiful and worldwide network of social innovators, and they are helping also La France s'engage, which is also an incubator of people like us. It's like ZEPHYR Solar is from La France s'engage, and this is huge because you can help directly, indirectly, and you can shape an ecosystem, and they are doing all these kind of things. So I was just telling this.
And both Fred and Julie are laureates of La France s'engage. So such initiatives. We also need to say that around us, in governments, in organizations, there are plenty of initiatives that are also changing the game, that are introducing new ways to combine all the actors, and we really need to work all together to define those new horizons.
And what we need also is a modern regulation that will pull all these innovations to the market, because we know about the importance of pushing innovation with subsidies, with grants, with awards, and we speak about the young entrepreneurs who might be successful. How many are really successful? How many of their patents make it to the market? How many, Julie, will really be able to bring their products for everybody on the market? Well, not a lot. Not a lot. Because if the regulations are too much laid back, if it is allowed to use old polluting devices, if it is allowed to use outdated systems, they will not make it to the market. So it's not enough to push the technology and the innovation, we have to pull it. And the way to pull it is to create a need in the legal framework, a real need for these innovations to arrive on the market, to be used by everybody. And if we do that, it's a possibility to offer to the population completely new range of systems and products and technologies without asking the people in the population to make a sacrifice. Because this is what people hate. It's to make a sacrifice in their mobility, in their comfort, in their investment, in their quality of life. But if we manage to have the leadership at the political level, pulling these innovations and these technologies, then we'll have a change. Otherwise, we will continue to have VivaTech exhibitions every year with people who have no future. They have no future. They have the creativity, the passion, and no future because their products will not be used. So the political world has to understand that also.
So it's a call to regulators to put in place a little more regulation on these key issues. Constance or Antoine?
Yeah, no, we see this very specifically at the financial level, because after the financial crisis, there were a lot of regulations that were decided, and it's a good thing, because we don't want to see another financial crisis.
Obviously.
But now we are in very strongly regulated professions. And for example, a very important play is now being played with the question of the green supporting factor. Will we have financial regulations that will encourage the financial sector to finance green projects? For the moment, it's absolutely not the case, and what has said Bertrand absolutely applies to finance. So we have to. It's a huge challenge, and the European Union, for the moment, is working on it. It's a huge challenge for the financial authorities to allow the green projects and the socially friendly projects to go further without, of course, creating new risks for the financial system.
The regulators are sometimes a little bit conservative. Constance?
Yeah, I think if we have this help from regulation, I think to address your point, this is the deepest revolution that has ever been existing. Why? Because there's no many ways to play the future. It's just simply a better choice to go with something which is sustainable. And I think now investors fully understand it. They know that the long-term profitability of their asset is linked to sustainability. Companies have changed, they're switching business models. Startups have the technologies now to make things more efficient and cheaper. Today, you go to buy a LED bulb, it's cheaper than a normal one. And consumers want it. So it's just simply the right way to go. And I think when things make sense, are totally logical, this is very, very deep because everyone is going in the same direction.
Julie, Frédéric, I want to ask you, what has been the most difficult or the most challenging at the beginning of your company? Was it financing or was it other things?
I think the challenge is a normal day, but one of the main challenge for us, because we are with Cédric Tomissi, the other co-founder, we are designers. So we are not engineer, and we did not do commercial school. So this is or management school. So I think it was a first challenge to prove to people it's possible. Where not depend only on your school or what you learn, but your abilities and your curiosity to do things, to improve things, to make an activity and to develop also companies. But we talked a lot about companies because it's VivaTech, but I also wanted to mention you can also create association, you can also create NGO, you can also create a project not at the scale of companies. Mm-hmm. So one of the most challenging things was, of course, financial, especially when you are small companies, and tech for good companies. But I'm really hoping there will be more and more investors with this a real sensibility and sustainable goals in the future.
Frédéric?
I would say that we have all the mistakes and challenges that you can have when you are starting something insane or not ever seen before, and making a social innovation emerge and scale. We have HR problems, we have financing problems, we have to influence and reshape the legal frame of our own activity and to modify the laws. We have to take the good job, the good person, good people. So it's important. I'm really convinced that Bertrand is really on the good point. It's that social innovation is a business, has to be like a business, but it's with purpose business, but it's company problems. It's not about, there is specific social innovation problems, but the more challenge we have, it's about scaling and being normal and come to the ground and the people and influence government. So it's being normal. It is the main challenge. So I want to be normal and not a social innovator, you know? I want me and all our initiatives to be the norm.
Bertrand, you always have thousands of ideas. What's your next dream?
I've done 2 flights around the world.
Yeah.
Already,
we
one with a balloon,
flights,
one with a solar airplane. So if I do a third one, I think it would be a little bit a routine. So what I really want to do now is to focus on the Solar Impulse Foundation's label and give the chance to all the corporations, all the small companies, all the startups to prove that the technology they bring is mature and profitable. And they can do it in the field of water, energy, cities, industry processes, or agriculture and clean and responsible production and consumption. All these fields, which are in the Sustainable Development Goals of the United Nations, are the ones we want to cover. So even here, all the companies or startups who have what they believe is a profitable solution that can reach our label, they can come to us. It is completely for free. We have our own partners like BNP who are helping us to fund all these projects. So you are just welcome to bring your solution. They will be assessed. Hopefully they will have the label. And then the third flight around the world that I will do will not be with a balloon or solar airplane. It will be with a portfolio of the 1,000 solutions with a label in order to meet the heads of states, big corporations, big institutions, and show them what we can do today with the technologies of today instead of always using the technologies of yesterday.
Well, I think that's a great conclusion to this session. Thank you all. Thank you very much for your optimism, and have a good VivaTech. Thank you.